Good morning. Hi, Iman. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Iman, I also have a PowerPoint. I don't know.
Excellent. Yep.
Are we sharing it?
Yep, I can see it.
Well, good morning to everybody. In Cheyenne country, Pebawana. Good morning. Clayton Small, Northern Cheyenne. My Cheyenne name is Pibanahin, good warrior. And my nickname is Cowboy, being growing up on a ranch on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation in Montana. So Iman, how much time do we have this morning?
We have an hour.
Okay. Well, if you guys can all see the PowerPoint, I'd like to share with you some background on our trauma-informed, culture and resilience-based programs that we offer through our organization called Native Pride. And I would encourage you also to look at our website, nativeprideus.org. How many people are on, Iman?
It looks like we got about 10.
Okay. I would love to have everybody just introduce yourself and what college or program you're representing.
I have them putting it in the chat, but if you guys wanna do a quick verbal introduction, Marquita, I see you on my screen first. If you could just introduce yourself quick.
Good morning, I'm Marquita Gillett. I work for Stonechild College as the Dean of Student Services.
Thank you. How about
is that Rocky Boy?
Yes, in Rocky Boy.
I'm going to be there next week working with your elementary students with this curriculum. We're doing a culture camp with Melody Henry and Mike Gibo.
Oh, okay.
You'll have to stop by.
Okay.
how about you, Danielle?
Bonjour, I'm sorry, it took me a minute to find my little unmute button. Bonjour, my name is Danielle Carley. I work at the LCO Ojibwe University in Hayward, near Hayward, Wisconsin, on the LCO reservation, and I'm an associate dean of students here.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep, you bet.
Go ahead, Connie.
Dosha Dashkashna Nawa, hello from Nweta Hidatsa Sanish College on the Fort Berthold Indian Reservation. My name is Dr. Connie King-Gotchel. I am usually the Vice President of Student Services. I'll be transitioning back to that role real soon. I'm here in Pittsburgh actually right now. My daughter had twin baby girls back in December. So anyway, thank you, Dr. Small and Iman, for coordinating this awesome, necessary effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Connie. Congratulations. Hey, I just wanted to say we're going to be coming to your college the end of August to work with all of your Head Start staff, about 60 or so.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Lots of grats.
Awesome.
How about you, Vicki?
Hoso Meep, everyone. My name is Vicki Bisa. I'm a faculty member at the College of Menominee Nation in Keshena, Wisconsin.
Thank you. W. Tyner.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Wilma Tyner. I'm the Dean of Academics here at Stonechild College in Rocky Boy, Montana.
You. D. Downs.
Good morning. My name is Debbie Downs, and I also am from the College of Menominee Nation and work in CTE.
Let's see. Juliet Maestas.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Juliet Maestas. I'm the president of the California Tribal College located here in Sacramento, California.
Thank you.
Juliet, just met some of your folks from Sacramento area. It's called Indian, the Native Dads Network. They're doing.
Oh, yeah, Mike Duncan.
Yeah, they're doing great work.
Yes.
Let's go with Sarah Vande Corput. Oh my gosh.
Yes, good morning. Sarah Vande Corput with the College of Menominee Nation.
Awesome. Let me see. So that's, I think, everyone I see so far. I guess I'll quick introduce myself because probably didn't do that. My name is Iman Moore. I work at Nuwata Hidatsa Sanish College in Newtown, North Dakota. I've been there for about 9 years and serving in my role as the NACTEP project director for about 8 years. My role is to support students through completion of their program and then help them transition into the workforce. And I really enjoy the work that I do, and I have a really great team. And we have a really good system for supporting students and doing more outreach for high school students to do like kind of like planting seeds of like what are your opportunities and how can we connect you with people that can help you get to where you want to be, because not every program requires like a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree. You know, sometimes it's a short-term training, sometimes there's apprenticeships. So we started an apprenticeship readiness program. So we're really working hard to get avenues to career pathways to the students on our reservation. And I'm also the treasurer and chair currently for this TCU Career Consortium.
All right, thank you very much, Iman, and everyone from the various tribal colleges throughout Indian country. I'd like us to go ahead and start in just prayer, if we would. That's always important to call the spirits. So Iman, I can do that, or if you want to have one of your folks do that.
No, you go ahead, Clayton.
Okay, just pray along with me, everybody. Creator God, Heavenly Father, aho, for this beautiful day, our life and health. And thank you for bringing us together to make relations and talk about helping our students at the tribal colleges to cope with stress in their life, trauma, tragedy, and that we can maybe provide some tools that will help them to walk into that light of goodness that you have intended for them by graduating and creating a career for themselves that allows them to grow and also to take care of their family and make contributions to their community. And we say all these things in your most precious and holy name, Ya'ish Haho.
Amen.
So I'd like to go ahead and just walk through a PowerPoint that describes what it means to be trauma informed, using our culture and focusing on using our strengths and resilience. And so we have, you can also go to our website, relatives, nativeprideus.org. And there's a good description of our 3 curriculums that we use. The one that I'm going to share with you today is called The Good Road of Life. We actually used this last August at the MHA Nation for all of the educators, paraprofessionals, tribal leaders, colleges. Iman was there. We had over 300 people, and it was an awesome 3-day event. And so what's going on in North Dakota is in 2022, the state legislature passed Senate Bill 2304 that requires every school in North Dakota to teach Native American history. And it's also a graduation requirement starting next year. And so our curriculum, our training provides, a support system for students who are learning about Native American history and the trauma and the atrocities and genocide and boarding schools, relocation. Talking about those things truthfully triggers trauma. So our curriculum is designed to help students with support when that occurs. And I want to shout out to Spirit Lake. I don't know if Spirit Lake's on here, but we're going to be there July 9, 10, and 11 at the Spirit Lake Casino Resort. And we're doing a 3-day training on this curriculum that I'm sharing with you. So if any of you are in that area, it's a free conference. You can get up to 1 or 2 credits through the University of North Dakota. So if you look on the screen, I'm using ledger art, my favorite artwork from my good friend Butch Thunderhawk at United Tribes College. And I love how ledger art can tell our history and focus on our strengths. You see a handsome and beautiful couple relationship being blessed by dragonflies. They say the dragonflies are so powerful that when they swarm together, they can create a tornado. And so, not all of us come from this kind of a family where they're healthy, there's no violence, there's no poverty. There's no domestic violence. There's no substance abuse. And so if you come from this kind of family, you're blessed. But oftentimes our Native students, whether they're elementary, preschool, middle school, high school, or college, we carry with us trauma from our families that continue to perpetuate those unhealthy cycles of behavior. So putting up on the screen another piece of ledger artwork called The Sister Saves Her Brother. When we do this kind of trauma-informed work, we have to open up our heart. And for women, that's good. Life givers, women are caretakers of our people, matriarchs, and they have usually no problem opening up their hearts and talking about trauma. Our Native men struggle. Our Native men really haven't been given permission to talk about trauma and feelings. We're really good about anger and violence, but we're not good about saying I'm hurt or I'm scared, I'm sad. So this ledger artwork comes from our Cheyenne people, and a week before June 25th, 1876, when the Lakotas, the Cheyenne, and Arapaho defeated General Custer on the banks of the Bighorn River in Montana, the greatest victory of our Great Plains tribes. And this Cheyenne woman, her name is Buffalo Calf Road Woman, was very courageous about a week before this battle, called the Battle on the Rosebud, where she saved her brother. No one was willing to go out and help him. He was wounded. And she rode out on this warrior horse, picked him up, and rescued him, saved his life. And that act of courage was so exemplary that the Native people on that day were victorious. Then a week later, she struck the fatal blow to General Custer. And so women have always been warriors, not just life givers. And so I use this image to show that how important in our healing journey it is to open up our heart and to be vulnerable and to be honest. And talking about our trauma is healing. So I wanted to share that. And also in a clinical perspective, epigenetics is a clinical word, but basically it means when we talk about our trauma, like when we come to Spirit Lake in August, the majority of the staff are single moms who are struggling, raising children and trying to graduate and trying to create a career for themselves. And so what we're going to try to do for that group from the college at Spirit Lake is to create a safe place where, if you look at the screen, talking about our trauma is healing. When we do that, we stop the cycle of multi-generational behaviors that would be moved to the next generation of children. So when we talk about being trauma informed, it means creating safe places in the workplace, at the colleges, where students can heal from this, and their attendance will be better. Their graduation rates will be better. They'll take better care of their families, and they'll be mentors. They'll help each other. Those are some of the really important outcomes from our training. So what is cultural resiliency? It's using our Native culture to overcome trauma, tragedy, threats, and other stresses in our lives. So I would ask questions of the college folks that are on staff here. Do you create these opportunities for your students to embrace their culture? Do you have a sweat lodge on campus? Do you have naming ceremonies? Do you have elders available? Do you have Native language classes that you provide? And do you engage with your community around celebrating cultural events? And so these are some of the really important things, I think, that as a Native program, Native college, that you really need to be able to offer to your students. I'm going to put up our circle of wellness. Everybody, lift your hands up and draw a circle around your body. And tell somebody next to you, this is my circle of wellness. You can't come into my circle unless I give you permission. We call that setting boundaries. We know we're not going to be a victim. We're going to be assertive. It's difficult to say no to knuckleheads. So knuckleheads are lots of fun. They know how to tear it up, have a good time. But when we hang around with knuckleheads, we become one. We get divorced, we get fired, we get incarcerated. And just when we need those knuckleheads, they're not around. So if you look at this medicine wheel, those are the things in the middle that we need to work on, with spirituality being the most important, whether that's organized religion or ceremonies or some combination, or going for a hike in nature, whatever it is that gets us in touch with our higher power. And all those boxes on the outside, those are the traumas in our life that we've inherited from our ancestors. They're historical and they go on every day in our life. So I'll say them out loud. And as you hear me say them, I want you to pick one. Which one of these boxes for you is an ongoing challenge? And then Iman, I'm going to ask a couple of the folks on to talk about the trauma that they're working on. So one of it there is losses, grief and loss. During COVID, we all lost people, family, coworkers, friends. Also other health disparities, diabetes, heart attacks, strokes, traffic accidents, suicide, many losses. And have we taken time to do our grief work? Having shame attacks because I'm not worthy, all kinds of trauma can trigger us having a shame, embarrassment, and we react by maybe falling from grace, turning to drugs and alcohol, violence, other things. Communication and mediation. How good are we at resolving conflict? Are we able to make amends when we hurt someone and hurt ourselves? And do we have a healthy legal way to cope with stress and trauma when it gets triggered? And it gets triggered all the time. Do we have unresolved issues that are still just out there? Maybe we put them in that symbolic backpack and told ourselves, I'm too busy right now trying to graduate from college. I'll do that later. And then hostility. Hostility is a combination of a negative attitude, not using anger management appropriately, and maybe being too aggressive in our behavior. That's what we call hostility. And trust. All the Native women on this call, you are beautiful and that you forgive us pitiful Native men. And we need to acknowledge that and be thankful for that. And you give us other chances in our relationships. But trust, when it's betrayed, it's difficult. People put up barriers and they say, I'm not going to let anybody get close anymore because my trust has been betrayed. So let's just look at that in a moment and let's have some interaction. Iman, I'm going to ask one or two people to share in this circle of wellness. What is one of these traumas that you're working on? And tell us how that's going for you. So when we would come in and work with your students, we would do things like this, encourage them to share and to talk about their trauma. So Iman, let's let people either put it in the chat box or maybe unmute themselves and talk about how they're doing with one of their traumas.
Does anyone wanna go first?
Hey, Buju, it's Danielle.
Thanks, Danielle.
Turn on my light, my camera, my camera. There was one thing that you had said, and it kind of resonates with the idea of, oh, well, it kind of goes into trust for one thing, but it's also like trusting yourself and knowing that, well, being able to move forward and know that you're capable of moving forward, you're capable of doing this. I know I'm capable, but there's something inside of me that's always like scared and I was like frightened and then like I know myself, my coping mechanism is to go to anger and to be like, and so I'm always working on that to make sure that I'm not viewing whatever is in front of me through this filter of whatever that is. I don't even know what it is, but it's there, and it's sometimes really hard to do that. And especially when I get under stress and I have a lot of things happening, like there's a lot going on in my life right now. And I know because of that, my personal life, right? And I know because of that, I need to be kind of mindful and walk delicately with my coworkers so that I don't do things that may, I don't want to hurt people. I don't. And I know sometimes it could happen that way. So I got to be careful with what I do. So that's something that I struggle with. I don't really know how to move forward from that. I don't know if it'll ever go away, to be honest. So that's just one thing that kind of resonated with me as you were talking. So I wanted to share that.
Thank you, Danielle. You said a mouthful. And thank you for being vulnerable. Trust is a big thing. When someone betrays our trust, it's hard to give them another chance, or to forgive them, and to forgive ourselves sometimes, and as you described, that trauma gets triggered all the time, and we need to be ready for it, because it's going to happen over time, and talking about it is really, really important, and having support, being able to ask for help. Sometimes when our trauma gets triggered, we can't take care of it by ourselves. We have to get some help. Talk to someone, maybe a counselor, maybe a talking circle, maybe a ceremony, go to a sweat. And so there's different ways to ask for help. Women normally are pretty good at that. Men have a real difficult time asking for help, because we're conditioned to be tough guys, macho man. I don't need help, I'm okay. How come you're asking all these questions? That kind of thing. So for your male students, you're really important to try to create a safe enough place where they can, like you just did, Danielle, share, this is what's going on with me. And let me just put up another picture here. These are blocks to leadership. These are some of the historical traumas in our family that cause us to not be the best leader that we can be, because we haven't dealt with a trauma. Or like you, Danielle, where it comes from. If we can put a finger on, this is why I don't trust people, and I'm working on it. And so if we can do that much, we're opening the door for healing and for our ability to move forward in our leadership development. So look at this list. I'll just read them out loud. And I want you to think about which of these holds you back in your leadership capacity. And it's important to identify it because it has a history. It has historical connections to our family. And if we can identify it, then we can work with it and we can get beyond it. So I have trouble because I want to be liked, want to be popular, or I'm closed-minded, it's me, or I need to save the world, codependency. Or number 4, I have a fear of risking. 5, I'm indecisive. 6, I have low expectations of others. 7, I'm overly critical. 8, I have trouble controlling versus empowering. 9, I have, and 10, low self-worth, low self-esteem. Self-esteem means just having the ability to get through a normal day, without going into a fetal position. So do I have that self-esteem? Number 11, what holds me back is I'm always focusing on problems and negativity instead of looking for solutions. Number 12, I lack purpose. I don't know if this is really my calling, what I'm doing now. Maybe I should be doing something else. I don't know what my purpose is. And number 13, a fear of embarrassment, shame attack. Number 14, maybe you had abandonment issues when you were young and your parents just weren't there. And so, or maybe you ended up in foster care, or you just didn't have family out there. And so fear of rejection causes us to push people away. We don't want people to get close to us because they're probably going to abandon us again. Having to be perfect, oldest child, hero children. I'm saving the world. I'm doing this famous dance in front of my family, which is not a very healthy family. And maybe if I just am perfect, maybe my family they won't notice my family. And having to work hard, all I know is work. If you live in middle class America, we're the worker bees. And all we know is work, and we seldom take time to celebrate and just to take a break. and to work on self-care. So this list of 16 are all blocks that if we don't identify them and we don't do some healing, they will continue to hold us back. So Iman, let's have people look at this list and see if somebody would like to share how you're working on not letting this block that has ties to trauma in our life continue to hold us back.
Does
Someone-
anyone have initial thoughts?
Okay, I'll go. Well, I'm not Indigenous, but I am Indigenous in my heart, and I, work with our students. I've also been into relationships. Currently, I'm married to an Indigenous man, and I totally appreciate this approach. And it's actually giving me insight too to some things in my life, but especially for our students. What approach I've used, and this is really going to help enhance that, is being a good listener and trying to figure out what the student is actually going through. And so there's a lot of things on this list, and I have a lot of friends who've gone through a lot, so I know that this is very deep. And for that, it might not be the same for everyone. And I think that's really important, to kind of speak from that standpoint. And when you're talking, with a student or even for yourself, trying to identify what is really going on, and then trying to help them get through whatever it is. And one of the things that, our counselor, Deanna, and I do is we also know when it's kind of beyond us at the college level, so that we'll do our best to help with one of the areas. And then if a student might need additional support, then we know when when we have to say, you know what, you might need some additional support. But a lot of these factors, I'm sure, have come up. I've been there at the college for 12 plus years, and thinking about some of our students and what they've gone through in the classroom, as far as either relating to a faculty member, trying to complete their assignments, maybe even express. We had a 4.0 student who did not feel like she was good enough. And I remember this was about a year and a half ago, talking with her one-on-one and actually praying with her and helping her. It wasn't just me, I'm sure, but Creator and others get through that semester and graduate with that 4.0, knowing that she had self-esteem issues. I really don't even know what all she had going on or what brought her to that point. But I just know that she's an awesome person. And so something brought her to that point. And how do we get people past that point is what, I feel like trauma informed is important. And then, recovery and helping with strategies to heal. So I thank you, Dr. Small, for the specificity in this. It is pretty raw. I know in my own life, I can look at this list, and yeah, there's some things on this list. I certainly don't have the same traumas, but I feel like, everyone can benefit from this, and I'm learning a lot. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, thank you, Dr. Connie, for sharing. Awesome. Yeah, this list affects all of us, whether we're Native or not, or whether we're an ally or married into the Native community. We all have these blocks that are tied to our trauma that we've experienced or witnessed. And in the case of that young 4.0 student, she was doing this dance as a hero child, thinking, okay, they won't see my family, they won't see me because I'm doing all this stuff. And at the same time, she's wounded, she's hurt and she's struggling. And so you sitting down with her and listening to her, I'm sure really helped her to be able to feel better about herself, and maybe at some point talk about some of those traumas that she's witnessed and experienced. So being trauma informed means knowing that it's not about me as a professor or a director, coordinator. It's not about me. It's about how can I create a safe space for my students so that they can talk about what's going on, outside of the classroom. Yeah. So I think what your example, Connie, is something that and it means being open to being vulnerable with your students. Not just hiding behind a textbook or a podium, but being vulnerable, letting them know that you care about them and that you are going to listen, and when we share our trauma, when we let our guard down, then it gives them permission to do the same. And that's not always an easy thing to do. So related to these blocks, let's talk about emotional intelligence. These 12 skills are not learned at the college or university. The Creator just gives some people these skills. They're born with them. The rest of us, we have to work at them. And I think in your college curriculum, it's good to try to have some life skills and social skills. These were skills that were taught at home and reinforced in the community. But, now they are not there. We don't have these anchors. We don't have these core values. So it's important then, from a college, how can we promote these important skills? All right. So I want you, there's 12. I'll read them out loud. And the test is you check mark. You can check how often you do these things. Like seldom would be like I do that once a week. Occasionally, a couple times a week. Often, 3 or 4 times a week. Frequently, I do these things every day. So if you want to grab your pencil, pen, and just make some check marks here, 1 through 12. Okay. I am aware of what I'm feeling. How often do you do that? How often are you aware of your feelings? Seldom, occasionally, often, frequently. Number 2, I know my strengths and weaknesses. And I work on my weaknesses, not just focusing on my strengths. Number 3, I deal calmly with stress. I don't get arrested when I'm stressed out. I don't go out and get drunk or high. Number 4, I believe the future will be better than the past. How often do you think that? On one end is being cynical, negative, Chicken Little. On the other is being optimistic, seeing the cup half full instead of half empty. Number 5, I deal with changes easily. Number 6, I set measurable goals when I have a project. A lot of us native people, we do things at the midnight hour. The night before term paper is due, we're up all night. When we should have been working on it before. So we have to have goals, set some timelines. How often do I do that? Number 7, other people say I understand and I'm sensitive to them. Call that being a good relative. Number 8, really important one, others say I resolve conflicts. I make amends and I work on my relationships. Number 9, relationships. I maintain them. I work on them. They're hard work. Number 10, other people say I inspire them. Set an example, role model. Number 11, others say I'm a team player. 12, others say I help to develop their abilities. I'm a mentor. So if you look at this list, these are really important skills that we all need to have. The example I like to use is I'm one of 10 children, middle child of 10. My youngest sister, Jerry Girl Small, didn't go to college, graduated from high school, was the reservation white hair cutter, hairdresser, EMT, firefighter. But what she did have is all these 12 skills. People would go to her, confide in her, seek her out. She became our first woman tribal president for 2 terms because she had these skills. and people admired that and respected that. So if you look at this list, and maybe there are a few that you need to work on, that's the thing, is to admit that I don't have some of these tools right now, but I can get there. So Iman, let's see if anybody wants to share one of these leadership skills that you need to work on a little harder. Oh, and if you took this test, you should score at least 29 or higher, because you add up the check marks in each column times 1, times 2, times 3, and times 4. And in our training, we would give you time to do this, and you would talk about your score and how you can improve it.
If no one wants to volunteer, I would say for number 2, I know my strengths and weaknesses. You know, like I was saying, with I have a really great team. So when I know that someone can do something better than me, I'm gonna step out of the way and let them do it, even if I'm, you know, the leader, you know. So I really value the experiences of other people, and I think that, like you know, you were saying, everybody has their own kind of giftings and things like that, and so I think it's very important to respect that and let them shine, you know.
Yeah, empower them.
Yeah.
And encourage them. Yeah, I mean, we're all tonight is game 4 between the Boston Celtics and Dallas Mavericks, and it looks like the Celtics are gonna win the finals, and they have strengths at every position. They include everybody. Every night, somebody else takes the honors because they work together as a team, and that's really nice to see that. All right. Anybody else before we move on? So in your tribal colleges, you should be promoting opportunities for your students to develop their life skills and emotional intelligence skills. Another part of healing from trauma is knowing our family history. So here's a family tree. You would put your name there at the bottom, and then you would put in there your mom and dad, your grandparents on both sides, and then your great grandparents. And then as you get to know your family, their names, what was their life like? What was their childhood like? Did they live on the reservation? Did they go on relocation? Was there foster care? Was there suicide? Was there substance abuse? Was there violence? What happened? What happened to your ancestors? What was their life like? And you know what? When you ask your mom and dad these questions, they don't always want to talk about it. They'll say, oh, it's not important. You don't need to know that. But the reality is, if we're going to break these unhealthy cycles of behavior, it's really important to know what happened in our family history. And the good news is, you can go on websites like Ancestry.com. And if you don't know who these people are, you can go through DNA, and you can get all this information through that kind of info. You swab some spit, put it in a tube, send it off, and a couple months later, they send you your family tree, and they update it. They'll say, this is your first cousin, this is your second cousin, this is your father, this is your mother, and they have pictures. They send these historic pictures to you. It's pretty awesome. So I want to see if someone who's done all this, someone who knows their family tree, share with us, what was it like discovering your family and the struggles that they went through? I know when I did this, it helped me to resolve and forgive my mom and dad, you know, because I understood that their childhood, their life was really overwhelming. They struggled, they had a hard time. And that's why they behaved the way they behaved. And it helped me to forgive them and to move on. And I can say that I reconciled with my parents before they walked on to the Creator. And it was a blessing to have a good relationship with them for years before they walked on to the next life. And you know, when we forgive our parents, we become better parents. There's a connection. You know, if we struggle as a parent, maybe it's partly due because we haven't resolved issues with our parents. And very important, same-sex parent-child. Fathers and sons have issues. Mothers and daughters have issues. I had issues with both parents that I had to work on. But it sets us free when we can do that kind of forgiveness work. Yeah. So let me see if Iman, if anybody wants to share, what did it take for you to research your family history and forgive mom and dad?
I can speak to this one too if no one else wants to go.
Okay.
So my direct grandma, who I spent a lot of time with and got a lot of her wisdom, fortunately, was one of the survivors of the boarding school era. So I got to hear some of the stories and the things that would happen to her, like among her peers, among the teachers, you know, and it was like very traumatic stuff. You know, she was Catholic, and she would always say that she would wake up every day and tell Jesus to use her, you know. And so I know that her husband, I think, only went up to the 8th grade. So my grandpa was abusive. He was very in and out a lot of the time. So there was also sexual abuse in my, like in the generation before me. So there was a lot of trauma from my grandma, a lot of trauma that happened in their household where my parent was kind of like raised in the household, just one step away from the boarding schools. And then so I feel like my approach has been using the Bible and like the teaching of forgiveness and things like that, and understanding that we only have the capacity for what we do, and also that we have our lives very much we follow the example that we saw, and it really takes an effort to figure out whether or not that was the best example. But I think when you kind of approach it with the mindset of everybody has experienced some sort of trauma, some people are willing to face it and some people are not, you know. And so they're navigating life the best way that they know how. And so you know, you can't really hold it against them for not, you know, having that ability to open up about their problems, because sometimes they're managing a household and they don't really have time to think about self. They have time to cook dinner and things like that, which that's kind of like my story too, like, you know, very stressful home life, and very passionate about work. So it's like sometimes I'm burning the candle at both ends. I think that's what they call it, you know. But yeah, so that's kind of like my little talk about the family tree thing. And I think I'm being very mindful of my healing journey, and also recognizing that I want to be available to help my children process their own trauma, as I know that they've had it and they may not understand it as trauma yet, but when they do, I want to be able to have those conversations with them and be able to give them some tools to use.
Thank you, Iman. Awesome. So, you know, we're talking about forgiveness work, forgiving our siblings and parents and relatives. And forgiveness that is not granted because the person deserves it. We do forgiveness work to empower ourselves, to allow ourselves to move beyond it. And that's really important. We don't want that trauma with our family to define the rest of our life. We need to be able to break that cycle of behavior through forgiveness work, through healing, and be able to move forward with our life. 3 powerful words around forgiveness, and say these out loud: love, mercy, and grace. Grace is an awesome word. Grace means that we're willing to ask for help. That takes achieving a state of grace when we say, I need some help. Can you help me out? Okay, so family work, family history work is really important. So I just wanted to put up one more. This here is hostility, anger management, not being a victim of bullying, not having a negative attitude. So in our curriculum, you would take a survey and you would get information in your scoring key here on your level of cynicism, aka negative attitude, how you're managing your anger or not, and whether your behavior is just too aggressive. And that ledger artwork there is a warrior defeating General Custer, June 25th, 1876. The warrior has captured rifles tied to his saddle. There's arrows and blood and death. And so at some point in this battle, the warrior chooses to be nonviolent. He takes the flag, and instead of killing the soldier, he counts coup, touches the enemy, and rides away. The ultimate act of courage. So when we demonstrate our courage, we don't have to be destructive. We don't have to be violent. So let me just share with you, let's do a quick survey, all right? Just using your mind. On a scale of 0 to 10, low numbers being no problem, higher numbers 5 and higher, I have an issue here. How negative is your attitude right now? And of course, your numbers are going to be based on what's going on in your life right now. If life is good, you're not going to be hostile. If you're struggling with things, might have some hostility. So 0 to 10, how negative is your attitude? Low number, I'm okay. Higher number, I got to work on it. And let me just remind you, cynicism is like COVID. It's a virus. You catch it pretty soon, you spread it around. And if you're not careful, everybody on campus at your college will be Chicken Little. So we have to remember that people are watching us. So give yourself a number for cynicism, 0 to 10. Anger. How are you managing your anger? Anger is normal. We all get angry. No problem. It's a feeling. It's an emotion. But we have to manage it when it kicks in. So let's say these 4 things out loud, everybody. Clear your throat. When I'm angry, I won't hurt myself. When I'm angry, I won't hurt others. When I'm angry, I'll forgive myself and others. And number 4, when I'm angry, I'll take a time out. Go calm down. Go for a walk. Go for a run. Go to a meeting. Go to a sweat. Calm down. So if we can do these 4 things when we're angry, we're good. Good to go. And number 3, aggression is your behavior over the top. You go from being assertive to being aggressive. We basically call that being a bully. And I'm sure that some of you have a hostile work environment at your college because there's some bullies in the workplace. And where do bullies come from? Mom and dad was a bully, kids are bullies. Those kids pass it on to their kids until someone says, I don't have to be a bully anymore. I can change my behavior. And you know what? Life causes us to be hostile. We have trauma, we have losses, we have unresolved issues, that cause us to act out with hostility. So let me see if anyone wants to share how you're trying to lower your hostility, work on your anger management, work on being less aggressive, or maybe at the big picture, how can I create an environment at our college campus where people are collectively working on lowering the hostility on the campus. Iman, let's see if anyone wants to make a comment.
So this is Danielle again. And this one here kind of hits me right between the eyes at the moment. I have a lot of things in my life, in my personal life and in my work life that are just coming to a head. And so, like I said before, my go-to is just, that anger. but I work really hard to not be that person. Today, I'm actually going to be leaving a little bit early because I just needed to come in and get some things done, and then I'm going home to relax with my family and try to just deal with everything that I'm dealing with. And what I do like to do is when I get in a real bad funk, I'll just go outside. I'll find some place where I can be outside and kind of be alone and just kind of like let myself be part of nature, I guess, and just try and let that stuff go. Doesn't always work, but I try. So, but I do like the idea of, and I don't know how to do it. I don't know what it would even look like, but to try and work on like the hostility that's within my work environment. Not everybody feels it. Some people feel it more than others. And I would just really, really like to be able to, because I'm the type of person that I feel like, and I really believe this, like, if you're going to solve a problem, if there's a problem and you want to solve it, then everybody who's sitting at the table needs to put everything on the table. And if you hold things back and you don't put it on the table, then you can't really work on the whole problem. You can't fix it. You can fix some of it, but then there's always going to be like this broken wheel or something on the back end that's just making it not work right. And so, and that goes back to like that trust, that vulnerability. Not everybody is able to do that. And if they're not ready to do that, it's not going to do any good to trying to force them to do it. But then again, we want a healthy work environment. So like I don't really know how to manage that. But I would be on board to help out, and work through what needs to get worked through here. If we can figure out what we even need to do to work through things,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Danielle. That was a mouthful. That was awesome. Yeah, so I think there are strategies that you can try to campus-wide work on reducing the hostility in the workplace and with student to student. But you have, like you said, put it on the table. We have to do this together. Our hostility is going to get triggered by trauma, so we need some healthy coping skills. And so those things are things you can address within the faculty and staff and also with your students. And it's important to do that. Hostile people struggle. Hostile people have a hard time. So I'm going to put up the last slide. It's a victory dance. The men on the one side are singing a victory song with hand drums. They're wearing their finest attire and regalia. They have their faces painted with charcoal, black paint, honoring the lives that were lost to be victorious. The women are on the other side wearing eagle feather headdresses, wearing red and yellow earth paint, love, beauty, and wonder. They're wearing striped chief blankets, and they're dancing together side by side, celebrating victory. So I use this to demonstrate that we can be victorious in our personal life, in our career, and in our workplace, and in our communities. And so it takes good thoughts. It takes intentions. It takes being willing to make some changes, right? Being a good relative. And so we are all worthy, and we are all good relatives, and we can push the envelope to make a better place in our personal, family, and workplace. So Iman asked me to say a few things. And so this kind of training is available through me and through other organizations. It's available for your students. It's available for your staff. We're doing a 3-day training at Spirit Lake, July 9, 10, and 11. If you guys are interested, you're welcome to go to our website and register, and credits available. We're going to have a great time there. It's free breakfast and lunch and just networking and working on self-care. So if you're interested in something like this, get in touch with us through our website, and we'd love to come to your college and see what we can do to enhance the environment. So Iman, I'll say that much and see if anybody might have a question or closing comment.
Well, hey, it's Danielle again. I'd be interested in talking with you a little bit further about bringing this type of a training here to the LCO community,
Okay.
to our campus. And yeah, because, you know, we work with a lot of people. We're obviously not just you know, we're part of the community. So we are ingrained in the community and want to make sure that we remain part of the community. And I think there's community work that we need to do as well. So I'll probably reach out to you within the next few weeks and see what we can do. Okay.
Sounds good, Danielle.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yes.
I appreciate you too. Thank you. It's really interesting. Very good stuff.
Good.
So thank you, Clayton, for your talk today. I wanted to know that I've got some notes. I took just a couple of screenshots. If you're willing to share the PowerPoint, Clayton, I can link it to the notes. I'll put the link for the notes in the chat, and then it has Clayton's contact information, at least his email address.
Mhm.
And then you can coordinate with him to have those further discussions about bringing the curriculum and the training to your college. One of the thoughts I had for our college specifically was we have a required student success course. So there's study skills and things like that. And I thought it would be a really important thing to put a curriculum like this as maybe like a 1 credit required wellness course for the purpose of addressing our mental, spiritual wellness. That's a new institutional learning outcome that our college has implemented. And so I'm still kind of having those conversations to try to see if it's a possibility for it to come to our campus. So
Yeah, just adding on to that, the Good Road of Life curriculum comes as a trainer manual. There's a trainer manual for like your instructors, and there's participant manuals, and there's 15 chapters, and you could break those down like in a semester and take whatever chapters you think are the most relevant. And it's easy to use, and it would be a great offering at one of your colleges as a course, just as Iman has said.
Yeah, so final notes, I guess, this will be the last meeting for the semester, so we'll pick back up, if not September, maybe October. But yeah, so if you have not already done so, please put your name, title, state, and college in the chat. That way I can have it for documentation purposes. And thank you again very much, Clayton, for making the presentation, and thank you to everyone who was able to join today.
Yes, thank you. Have a great summer, everybody.
You too.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.